Chen Gui, Chen Deng, and Chen Dao. When Houhanshu invaded Shou province to avenge his father, but had to withdraw his forces because of Lu Bu's takeover in Yan, Dao Xian asked Liu Bei to station his thousands of troops and Wuhuan cavalry at Xiaopei. He was given a further 4,000 more troops to command from Danyang, and then proceeded to raise troops from the area. He actively built up connections with the influential clans and people from the region. In a rather short period of time, he had gained the support of the two most powerful families in Shou province, the Mi family and the Chen family, led by Chen Gui and his son, Chen Deng. Their ancestral home and most likely birthplace too was in Xiapi, and they came from a family of government officials. Chen Gui's uncle Chen Shou held high-ranking positions in the Han government. His sons, Chen Yu and Chen Kong, both served as commandery administrators. Chen Gui was nominated by his home commandery to be the prefect of Zhu County, but he resigned after some time. He was later nominated and appointed as the Chancellor of Jibei Commandery, before being reassigned as the Chancellor of Pei Commandery. At a young age, Chen Deng was already known for his ambition to dedicate his life to serving and helping the people. He was well-read, knowledgeable, and talented in literary arts. He became well-versed in both classical and contemporary writings, which he applied well to various contexts. He was known for his loyalty, forthrightness, virtuous character, and for being resourceful, astute, and a deep-thinking strategist. When he was 24, he was nominated to serve as the county chief. During his tenure, he helped the elderly, took care of the orphan children, and treated the county residents as if they were his family. A famine broke out in Shou province, so Dao Xian invited Chen Deng to serve as the colonel of agriculture. He surveyed the lands suitable for growing crops, then introduced agricultural and irrigation works accordingly. His efforts helped counter the disaster and ensured there was abundant food supplies for the people. As a man of great talent, Chen Deng enjoyed giving appraisals of well-known people. He once said to the scholar Chen Jiao about Liu Bei, "When it comes to those of bold character that are destined to be heroes, those who lay great plans will become kings. I respect Liu Bei." He grouped him with Chen Ji, Hua Xin and Kong Rong as outstanding individuals. When Dao Xian fell ill in 194, he told Mi Zhu that no one but Liu Bei can bring peace to this province. When Liu Bei declined the invitation, Chen Deng told him, "At present, the Han dynasty has been broken and the Han Empire is at risk of collapse. Today is your chance to make great achievements. Our province is abundant in wealth and resources and is home to hundreds of thousands of residents. We hope that you, sir, can take charge of this province." Liu Bei recommended that Houhanshu takes over instead, so Chen Deng replied, "Houhanshu is arrogant and conceited. He isn't someone who can put an end to the chaos. Now, all of us want to help you, sir, raise an army of thousands. With our help, you can achieve the greater goals of reviving the Han dynasty, bringing peace to the people, and making achievements like those of the 5 hegemons. At the same time, you can also achieve lesser goals, such as defending this province from external aggression. You can leave your name in history. If you don't agree to our request, then I won't heed your suggestion either." Kong Rong also urged Liu Bei to take over, so he finally submitted and became the new governor of Shou province. Chen Deng, Mi Zhu and others sent a messenger to call on Yuan Shao, saying, "Heaven has sent down disastrous stench and misfortune has fallen upon our humble and small region. Recently, Dao Xian has died, and the people are without a leader. They fear that greedy invaders will one day take advantage of the opening to extend themselves, therefore they're very anxious. They will embrace the former administrator of Pingyuan Liu Bei as the rightful leader. Rebels are all around the regions, and there's not a moment of peace for him to remove his armour. We respectfully send lower officials to report this to the officials in charge." Yuan Shao answered, "Liu Bei is liberal and refined. He is known as a man of trust and righteousness. The people of Shou happily accept him, which matches my own desires." Henceforth, Yuan Shao recognized Liu Bei's legitimacy of governorship. The defeated Lu Bu soon came to seek shelter under Liu Bei. In 196, he seized Shou province from Liu Bei, whilst he was away defending the lands from Houhanshu's invading army. Chen Gui and Chen Deng were forced to become Lu Bu's subordinates, and Liu Bei returned to Houhanshu at Xuchang, who welcomed him warmly. Liu Bei was given command of some troops by Houhanshu and then appointed as the governor of Yu province. He returned to the eastern front to keep an eye on Lu Bu, and during this time he recruited Chen Dao. Very little is recorded about Chen Dao in history, as he does not have a written biography, and he also does not appear at all in the fictional novel. His birth and death dates were not recorded, but he was from Runan Commandery. Pei Songzhi mentioned that Chen Dao was second only to Zhao Yun in terms of fame and status, and he exhibited loyalty and courage throughout his life. It's noted that he fought in a lot of battles. Zhuge Liang once mentioned in a letter to Zhuge Jin that Chen Dao was the leader of Liu Bei's White Feathers Tent Guards, which was one of the most elite units in the Shu army. He was promoted numerous times under Liu Shan, and was reassigned when Zhuge Liang planned his northern campaigns. Li Yan was sent to Jiangzhou and put in charge of logistics. Chen Dao was sent to replace him at Yong'an County, on the border between Shu and Wu. He must have died or retired by 234, as Dengji was soon stationed there as the new area commander. In the year 197, Houhanshu declared himself emperor and tried to recruit Chen Gui where he mentioned. Their empire started fighting for power. In the end, only the smartest and the bravest will succeed. This is a time for heroes to make glorious achievements. We've known each other for years. Are you not willing to help me? If you are willing to join me, will you be my most trusted advisor? Chen Gui's second son, Chen Ying, was at Xiapi at the time, so Houhanshu sent his men to seize him in order to persuade Chen Gui to join him. He soon wrote his reply to Houhanshu. In the past, the Xin dynasty collapsed because it ruled in an oppressive, harsh and tyrannical manner, which forced the people to rise up and overthrow it. The Han dynasty may have declined, but is nothing like the Xin Empire in its final years. General Tao used his courage and wisdom to support the emperor and restore order to the corrupt, dysfunctional government. It won't be long until he eliminates his enemies and brings peace to the people. I had expected you to work together with others to revive the Han dynasty, yet you decide to commit treason instead and bring disaster upon yourself. It hurts me to see you do this. If you can repent and turn back, you'll probably still have time to make up for your mistakes. I'm only telling you this on account of our past relationship. You may not enjoy hearing this from me, but this comes from the very bottom of my heart. As for you asking me to consider joining you, I have only to say that I would rather die than join you. Houhanshu also proposed an alliance with Lu Bu, but Chen Gui was worried they would pose a greater threat to the Han dynasty, so he advised Lu Bu to build ties with Cao Cao instead. Lu Bu agreed and arrested Houhanshu's messenger Han Yin, then sent him to Xuchang for a public execution. Chen Gui then offered to send his son to meet with Cao Cao, but Lu Bu refused. However, when he was offered a promotion from the Han government, he was pleased, and so agreed to send Chen Deng as his emissary to thank Cao Cao. In Xuchang, Chen Deng urged Cao to eliminate Lu Bu, and agreed to serve as a mole for him in Shu province. Cao replied in agreement. Lu Bu has the heart of a rabid wolf. It's really difficult to allow him to live long. You're probably the only person who understands his temperament. Chen Deng was then promoted to the administrator of Guangling, and Gui's salary was increased by 10,000 kilograms of grain. Cao Cao held Chen Deng's hand as he left. You're now in charge of carrying out the task in the east. Around this time, Chen Yu was sent by Cao Cao to administrate Wu Commandery and assist Sun Ce against Houhanshu, but he had a secret mission to actually destroy Sun Ce from within. His true intentions were discovered, however, and he was defeated by Lu Fan, who forced him to retreat back north. Houhanshu was furious that Lu Bu had his messenger executed, so he allied with Han Xian and Yang Feng, then sent his general Zhang Shun to attack Lu Bu. When Chen Deng returned to Shu province, an angry Lu Bu confronted him and brandished his weapon at him. Your father advised me to side with Cao Cao. Now after following his advice, I have gained nothing. Whilst you and your father got promoted and rewarded, you must have tricked me. Deng kept his composure and calmly replied, When I met Tao, I told him to treat General Lu Bu in the same way you'd raise a tiger. Feed it well with meat. If it's not well fed, it will attack people. Tao replied, You're wrong. He's like a hawk. If he's hungry, he will hunt for you. If he is well fed, he'll simply fly away. Chen Deng emphasized this is all that they spoke about. Lu Bu's anger soon subsided, then he asked Chen Gui for advice. The alliance between Houhanshu's generals is formed by a loose assembly of their forces. They've not decided on a common plan and so won't last very long. They are like chickens tied up together and cannot move in tandem. My son Deng has a plan to separate them. They wrote letters to Han Xian and Yang Feng, promising them spoils of war if they defected. They were so pleased that they defeated Zhang Shun at Xiapi and captured Xiaorui. Houhanshu's forces suffered heavy casualties, as many of his soldiers fell into the river and drowned. Yang Feng and Han Xian were later sent by Lu Bu to raid Liu Bei's supplies, but they were lured into a trap. Yang Feng was killed, whilst Han Xian managed to escape. After assuming office at Guangling, Chen Deng governed justly, fairly, and soon built up a good reputation. He induced the pirate leader Shou to lead his thousands of followers to surrender themselves to his jurisdiction. His policies yielded good results, which earned him the respect and love of the commandery's residents. He remarked how this can be put to good use. By the year 198, Chen Gui had retired, but it's not known when he died. Meanwhile, Chen Deng assisted Cao Cao in eliminating Lu Bu. Liu had renewed his alliance with Houhanshu before sending his soldiers to gather gold to buy military horses. Along the way, Liu Bei attacked them and captured the goods, so Gao Shun and Zhang Liao were ordered to drive him back. Gao Shun captured Liu Bei's family and then sent them to Liu Bu, which forced Liu Bei to seek shelter again at Xuchang under Cao Cao. When they both personally led the armies to eliminate Liu Bu at Xiapi, Chen Deng responded by leading his troops from Guangling to assist. Chen Deng's 3 younger brothers were all in Xiapi at the time, and they were held hostage by Liu Bu, who threatened to kill them if Chen Deng did not make peace with him. He refused the peace talks and pressed on to attack Xiapi anyway. During the battle, Zhang Hong became afraid when he sensed that they would eventually lose. He freed Chen Deng's brothers one night and safely brought them all out of Xiapi to reunite. Liu Bu did indeed eventually lose the battle against Cao Cao, was captured and executed. Chen Deng was then promoted under Cao Cao's suggestion, and he became highly popular in the plains between the Yangtze and the Hua rivers. During this time, he came up with a plan to conquer Sun Ce's territories. Between early 199 and the summer of 200, Sun Ce sent an army led by Zhou Zhang that outnumbered Guangling's defenders by more than 10 times. The soldiers defending Guangqi fortress became fearful and suggested to Chen Deng to flee inland in the hopes that the Wu forces would retreat on their own. Chen Deng gave a stern response. "I have been commissioned by the state to defend this land. In the past, Ma Wenyuan managed to pacify the Bei Yui in the south and defeat the Di in the north. I may be unable to eliminate evil and villainy, but I won't allow myself to be called a coward. I will lay down my life to serve the state, uphold righteousness, and bring order to chaos. So long as I am following the will of heaven, I will definitely succeed." They shut the gates, didn't engage in combat, and remained silent until the entire fortress seemed as though it was empty. Chen Deng observed the enemy army and saw that victory could be achieved. He led his troops out of the south gate towards the enemy camp and blocked them from retreating to their boats on the riverbank. Zhou Zhang got his troops into battle formation, as Chen Deng personally beat the war drum as he launched a fierce attack. They scored a great victory over Sun Ce's forces, who had to abandon their boats. Chen Deng led his men to pursue the retreating enemy and killed thousands of them. Sun Ce gathered more troops for a second attack, but Chen Deng knew that they would return, so he had already sent his subordinate Chen Jiao to ask for reinforcements from Cao Cao. At the same time, he ordered his men to arrange piles of firewood 10 steps apart at a camp 10 miles away from the fortress. They set the logs on fire at night and made it look like they were celebrating on top of the wall so as to trick Sun Ce's forces into thinking that reinforcements were already here. As expected, the invaders were shocked and confused to see the brightly lit camp. Chen Deng launched another attack, scoring yet another major victory and killing thousands of enemy soldiers. In the summer of 200, Sun Ce was away at Jiangxia Commandery attacking Huangzhou, and Chen Deng sought revenge for his cousin Chen Yu's earlier defeat at Wu Commandery. He induced Yan Baihu to cause trouble for Sun Ce in his home territories during his absence. When Sun Ce returned, he wanted revenge against Chen Deng, so he launched another attack but had to wait at Dantu County because he ran out of supplies. Whilst on a hunting mission, he was ambushed and assassinated. Chen Deng was relocated to be the administrator of Dongcheng, but many of the local residents wanted to follow him and come with him, but he stopped them and said, "When I was the administrator of Guangling Commandery, I was lucky enough to be able to repel invasions from Wu. Why should you worry that you won't get a better administrator after me?" He became affected by an illness with serious symptoms, such as stuffiness in his chest, facial redness, and a loss of appetite. Hua-t'o came to treat him, took his pulse, and diagnosed him with parasites in his stomach, and he is on the verge of developing an ulcer. It was caused by consumption of raw food, so Hua-t'o prepared 2 concoctions for Chen to drink within the span of having a meal. After he had eaten, Chen Deng vomited up wriggling parasites with red heads. Half of their bodies looked like raw fish slices. He was immediately relieved of his pain, but Hua-t'o told him that illness would affect him again 3 years later, and that if he had a good physician he would be fine. 3 years passed and the same illness came back, but Hua-t'o was not around to heal him, so he died from the condition at the age of 38. After Sun Quan succeeded his brother, Cao Cao came to the banks of the Yangtze and sighed for not heeding Chen Deng's advice to attack the Jiangdong territory. He had allowed the Sun family to gain a strong foothold in the region, and they continued to pose a threat to him. Liu Bei, Liu Biao, and Shou once had a discussion of famous people of their time. Chen Deng was described as bold, uninhibited, and just couldn't help being so forthright. Shou recalled how he did not behave like a gracious host, as he did not only not greet him, but he made Zhu Si, a guest, sleep on the lower bed, whilst he slept on a higher bed. Liu Bei said, "Heroes who are as versatile, courageous, and ambitious as Yuan Long can only be found in history. It's very hard to find someone like him in this day and age. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, and I'll see you next time.